Do we have to explain to everybody that we had to take a pee break?
No.
No.
Some people don't want to know that.
Yeah, you all don't need to know about my bodily functions.
It's kind of assumed by being human that these things happen.
I'm a cat with a bow tie, and you're an owl with a hat. I don't know about the whole human thing.
Actually, that's sometimes I forget myself. I once said in a video that I weigh 80 kilos and got loads of comments less than a kilo. What are you on about?
That's one fat ass owl right there.
Yeah.
80 kilo owl.
Yeah.
Let's see what this guy has to offer.
Let's start. So this is my video that I'm bringing to the table. The brief was to bring a video to the table that we think silly, so that we can discuss it. And this is what I found. I guess some people out there may know that Chocolate Hat is a bit of a musician, a bit of an amateur musician, I might add. But this is something that I've come across in my life, and I find it quite funny. I'm interested to know, do you play any music, or do you appreciate music?
I mean, I appreciate music. I don't play any. I suck at playing any instrument.
Yeah. Oh, so have I mentioned the words music theory? Well, the concept music theory. Do you know anything about music theory?
No, I've actually taken music. You had to take a music class in high school for me. Some sort of music class, and in it we dipped our toes into music theory. We didn't spend too much time on it, but that's about my exposure to it.
I mean, I'm going to assume that quite a lot of the people who are going to end up listening to this probably don't know a great deal about music theory.
Mm-hmm.
And quite a lot of this is about music theory, but obviously we're here to look at the logical arguments rather than discuss the music theory. And music theory is actually quite simple physics, actually. It's if you know anything about physics, it should make sense. And there's this thing called hertz. As you can tell by the title of the video, before we even play the video, the title itself is called 440 hertz versus 432 hertz.
You know, I want to say something about the 32 and that 432.
Yeah.
So I don't know where this comes from at all, but this gets brought up by flat earthers all the time about how Freemasons love the number 32, and like it's a special number to them, and it's like it holds some sort of mystical property. I don't fucking know, right? But like they bring that up. Like anytime 32 shows up anywhere, they're like, "Oh, it's a Freemason conspiracy, something Freemason." Yeah.
Well, I might just point out that 432 is different to 32 in the same way that 100 is different to 100,000. But well, actually, no, it's more different than 100 is to 100,000. But anyway, no, that's but yeah, you're right in that a lot of this is about the love of the Wutards for particular numbers, and they think certain numbers have some kind of organic beauty that other numbers don't, which, well, in the context of this, it's totally silly. But yes, I'm quite aware of the whole numerology thing and Mason stuff.
Oh gosh.
And I can kind of see where like some of it comes from, maybe. There's this thing about, like numbers are important, and mathematics is the way that we describe the universe in its purest kind of at its basic level. And obviously some numbers are occur quite a lot and have meaning, but then people take it too far and assign this kind of magic to it as well. But we're about to see more of that. I'll start at the beginning though. HZ is an abbreviation for a term hertz. Everybody pretty much knows what hertz is. It's a frequency, in this case of a vibrating string. So it's to do with pitch of music. Anyway, let's start it and see what happens.
Peace, infinite waters diving deep once again. Why is the piano at the back of me? Can I get a hello there?
This guy's voice is it's almost too soothing. Like he's trying really hard to make his voice sound really soothing, and it's actually putting me off a lot. Like it's kind of creepy.
Yeah, he smiles a lot. Smiles as it's a sort of smile that you can imagine you get sore smiling muscles after a video. I don't know. He strikes me as being somebody who's a kind of chilled out guy who he comes across as slightly pretentious. He always mentions his journey. You'll notice he mentions in this video his journey. It's like these are his kind of little taglines. It smells like E Minor did a video on this guy, Infinite Waters, Diving Deep. His name is Ralph Smart. I don't think that's a secret. Anyway, continue.
440 hertz versus 432 hertz. I wanted to see what the talk was about.
Okay, that's the title of his video. He's introducing his video. So, like I say, hertz corresponds with the frequency of a vibration of, well, I guess vibrations in air, but that directly relates in the case of a guitar, which he will later produce, the string vibration. But it directly relates to pitch. So to say that's a certain number of cycles per second, and is a few less cycles per second, and so on.
Is there a huge difference between 440 and 432?
No.
Okay.
Only just noticeable to the average ear.
Oh, okay. So, like, a high note versus a low note, there's a huge difference, right?
Yeah, well, okay. I have done a little bit of work. I am going to demonstrate with my own instruments the difference right now, seeing as you mentioned it, between 440 and 432. Did you hear that?
Okay, yeah.
Did you get that?
Yes.
Did you hear a difference?
A little bit, yeah.
It's enough that if you played these two instruments, I'm not going to name them just yet because we might do more experiments. Who knows? I went online. I tuned one to a standard concert 440 hertz tuning, and one to 432, which you can get on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that tunes to 432. So they're both tuned as precisely as I can, given the nature of the instruments, to the 440. You'll hear me call it concert. The modern standard 432 is wow. You'll hear what he has to say. Yeah, but what they're referring to the note A. Just to explain what this all means, notes are given names, and in the UK system, they're given names from the alphabet, A to G. There are various other systems. I think in classical music in the US, they use A to G.
Mm-hmm.
In jazz, they use a movable system based on Do, Re, Mi, which most people are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Do being C. So the sixth note, I can't even remember what it is it? But anyway, the sixth note is A. But A is the name of a note. It's not totally universal. Most people in the world are going to understand that A equals 440 hertz. That's a modern tuning system.
Mm-hmm.
To say that A equals 332 hertz just means that you're defining that key on the piano. You're going to tune it down a bit, or if you say that it's 450 hertz, you're going to tune it up a bit in pitch, and that's all that it means. That's basically what they're saying.
All right.
Right. Shall we continue?
Yeah.
We all love sound. When you're sad, you play one of my songs. When I'm sad, I play one of yours.
Wait, what does that even mean?
I guess he's getting at that we just play music from each other. We don't often listen to our own music, but we listen to other people.
Oh.
This is what I'm guessing by that. He has a very interesting way of putting stuff like that. He also has a very curious accent. I believe that he hangs out in California and in the UK quite a lot. So he's got a very mixed up accent.
It governs how we feel. We use sound to amplify whatever emotion we're feeling at that time.
That's one use of sound. There are others.
Is this, and I always have to ask, is he speaking metaphorically or is he speaking literally?
I'm not sure how to answer that. Do we amplify our emotions through sound or, I don't know, music, perhaps? I don't know if that's always true. I guess people get different things and different situations out of different music. Sometimes we want to amplify our emotions. I guess other times we want to,
Because, like, I know I know our brain does this thing where, like, if we're feeling a particular emotion and we listen to a song when we're feeling that particular emotion, or we attach, or we're with a person when we hear that song, we connect them in our brains.
Yeah.
And so then playing that song brings up that emotion, or bringing that song brings up that person or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Is that what he's talking about?
Well, maybe.
Like how we, because I feel like everybody has those songs that sort of make you sad because they're real, you listen to it after you got dumped when you were in high school or whatever. We have those songs and we kind of get sad. Is that, like, I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not entirely disagreeing. I'm just saying that there's a whole bunch of other reasons. Like when you listen to music for the first time, that in itself is a different emotion. But anyway, that's this is barely the point of the video. But he is. I guess it kind of shows that he has his own particular views about music. So let's carry on for a bit.
All right.
Along my journey, I discovered 432 hertz.
There he goes. Along my journey. That's one of his little catchphrases. He's had a journey, and he's the better self.
And it changed my life forever.
And here we have him quoting Nikola Tesla.
I know. I understand the goods that he did to science, but I don't understand the weird obsession with New Agers and Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. He said some stuff that was a bit off the wall, and some stuff that's been vindicated, and some stuff that hasn't has been kind of disproven since as well. But New Agers like to pick up on everything. Well, they use quite a lot of I don't know, this idea that there's some kind of energy grid and there's like a vortex energy. I think he said something to do with that, but I'm not 100% sure. But this quote on its own: if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. I don't know if that relates to music.
Is this one of those things? Because I know I've heard like spirit science say this all the time, where we're all like at different vibrations, which is like, is that what he's talking about?
Yeah. Well, let's play on and we'll see how he develops it, because it does tie in.
Can sound frequency affect us? What if the way we have been listening to sound has been wrong?
Begging the question. That's all I can say there. It's a begging the question fallacy. What, and define wrong. How can we listen to sound wrong?
Yeah, I'm very curious about what the right way to listen to sound is and what the wrong way to listen to sound is. Because I'm assuming that all sounds come in, pretty much in all the hertz between what we can hear, like, within the limits, right? So within our lifetime, there's a chance that we have heard all the sounds within our audible range, or whatever, right?
I would say it's possible, if not probable, that we do, yeah.
So I don't understand how you can listen to it a different way.
And he's setting up a spiel here, but part of this whole thing about listening to sound wrongs, what is, I don't know, let me continue before I say this, but think of two people in two places singing the same song. Are they going to sing it exactly the same pitch when you then compare it to a piano?
Well, no, probably.
No. Yeah. Let's continue.
For a long time. Since 1939, when the standard concert pitch changed from A432 hertz to A440 hertz.
Is that true? Did that actually happen?
No. In 1939, there was a conference, and it was decided amongst various organisations to adopt a tune to a frequency of 440 hertz. That bit is true. Not everyone adopted that tuning at the same time, and previous to that, nobody could agree on what to tune A to.
Okay.
Where he gets the 432 hertz is that in 1711, somebody made a tuning fork, and it was a revolutionary idea, because part of the problem was that composers were writing music on manuscripts, and then instrumentalists, but more notably singers, were having to sing it. And if you train one singer to have a particular voice, like a soprano or an alto or whatever, a tenor, and that's all well and good until you then copy out the music by hand in those days. I mean, this is days of like J.S. Bach and
Yeah.
Handel and all that kind of stuff. This is like the Baroque era, where people were writing scores and then hand copying them and giving them to musicians. And if you give them to musicians in one town, their A might be tuned to 430 or even 420 hertz, which is like almost a whole tone lower. And in other towns, it could be tuned up to 450 hertz, which is, you know, like getting on to be a tone higher. So it means that singers couldn't always sing the music.
Mm-hmm.
And so this bright spark, he's got a name, I can't remember it, might even be here somewhere, came up with this idea that if you make a tuning fork of exactly the same dimensions, then it vibrates at the same frequency. And it happened to be 432 and a half hertz or something like that. And that's where he gets this idea that music used to be 432 hertz.
Okay.
But that's not true.
So there wasn't a standard, and then in 19 whatever, they made a standard.
Somebody, a bunch of propositions were put forward by various people, and what happened was that a mathematician proposed the mathematically most simple way of rounding off the numbers. And that's why we have 440 hertz, because it means that all the other notes have got fairly round numbers as well, if you count A as 440.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where the story should end, is that before 1939 that there was no standardization, and it could vary quite a lot. And then since then, there has been this adoption of a standardization, which means that if you go to a concert hall, or if you listen to anyone playing who's tuned to to 240 hertz, it'll to be at the same pitch.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of where the story ends.
And that was just done in order to make it simpler to share music, so that you could just write music and anybody picking it up would know what you meant by A.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So that two pianos or two instruments could come together and play in tune, or a singer could reach all the notes in their voice range. Yeah.
Just making sure there's not some, conspiracy about making it 440, which I'm pretty sure this guy thinks there is.
There is a conspiracy.
Okay. There always is.
Some people claim that the ancient Chinese used 432 because it's a magical number, and that the emperor sent people up and down China, in ancient China 2,000 years ago, somehow knowing how to tune to exactly 430. Well, for a start, they don't have A in their musical app. They don't have the same tuning system as us, and nobody knew how to get precise until the tuning fork came along. Nobody actually knew of a way to get the same pitch every time. So this idea that the Chinese emperor, as somebody, not this video, but there's another guy out there saying that the ancient Chinese knew the magic number of the universe, 432, and made sure everybody tuned up to this particular frequency. It's just impossible and completely implausible. And that's kind of where the conspiracy starts.
Oh, okay.
Shall we carry on?
Oh, let's go.
Are we in alignment? What's going on? 432 hertz has been shown to bring more wellness into the body.
Is he actually going to cite a source for this, or is he just going to...
No.
This is just going to be a
baseless assertion.
Because it's more in alignment with the golden mean.
Numbers. 432 is more in alignment with the golden mean.
What is the golden mean?
I think it's to do with the ratio. Is it to do with the Fibonacci sequence? It's this kind of credit card shape.
Oh, it's like the Fibonacci spiral thing?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's a ratio of 1.6.
Whatever phi is, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So wait, 423 has something to do with phi?
Apparently.
Is he going to explain that? He's just going to assert it.
Let's, shall we find out?
Okay, let's find out.
Stonehenge, the pyramids, the moon, the sun, the cochlea of our ear is built on 128 hertz frequency, which is linked 256 middle C, which is the 432 hertz frequency.
That was a lot of things.
That was, yeah.
That was a lot of things.
He said a lot of things there, which I don't know if he can back up his claims at all. He certainly doesn't attempt to in this video.
So the moon and the pyramids and our ears all have this 423 number in there somewhere.
432. Well, he said it as 128, which has some kind of resonance with 500 and something else, which is middle C. Or I kind of lost track. I'm pretty sure that he can't back up any of those claims.
All right, so we're gonna go with this idea that all of these things somehow involve this 432 number.
432 is a magic number because it somehow connects us to Stonehenge and the universe in our ears. I'm not sure how, but you said it.
Somehow it does it.
Somehow it does it, yeah. Right, here we go.
So that natural spiral is what we are all made of.
We're made of a spiral.
We're made of a spiral. Okay. I don't. Okay.
So listening to music that brings us to the greater reality of who we are, I have seen has done wonders.
He has seen that it's done wonders, whatever he was going on about. The lag is slightly unfortunate. He was comparing, though, I'm going to wind it back, the cochlea and the M74 spiral galaxy. And I'm pretty sure if you look at M74, it's not actually of the ratio that he would like it to be quite. I think it's close, but not quite the same.
Yeah, and I've seen people point out that, I mean, there's a difference between the Fibonacci spiral and just there's a couple of other different kind of spirals.
Yes, yeah, there is, yeah. And I think that the fact that things are spiral is quite a natural thing to happen because of physics. But in order for it to be this specific ratio, it has to spiral out at exactly the right ratio.
Okay, and he's going to show this just by putting two images of them up against each other, and not by actually bothering to do the math or actually figure out if the spirals are, let alone Fibonacci spirals, nor if they match.
Yeah,
they just kind of look the same.
Yeah,
and that's what we have to go by, is they kind of look similar.
Yeah, I mean, even if the cochlea, I mean, obviously, like, different people must have slightly different shape, size, and ratio bones. But, even if the average, whatever that is, the average cochlea and the M74 spiral galaxy happen to have exactly the right ratio of curve, of this spiral, then that could just be a coincidence. Because there's loads of galaxies and there's loads of spiral-shaped living things, like snails, for example.
I have seen the snail one. I have seen people say, look, snail has a spiral in it like a galaxy. I've seen that one before.
Yeah, but it's a fairly basic shape.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Spirals aren't impressive.
It's kind of like saying, oh, look, the sun, the earth, the moon, and your eyeball are all spheres. Therefore, there's some magic intrinsic thing linking you to the sun. There may well be things linking us to the sun, but the fact that our eyeballs are spheres isn't the reason.
So he's just going to draw a random connection from a coincidence in the way things are shaped.
Yeah, by, applying this kind of common shape, it's somehow a magical connection.
I want to see this magical connection.
Use this core chromatic tuner to go from 440 hertz to 432 hertz. So we're going to test it out.
So he's basically saying he can program his tuner.
Which I'm assuming you can do on, like, your iPhone tuner. Right.
I don't use tuners.
Oh.
So I'm not the person to ask, but I know for a fact you can define using any, I'm sure you can using tuners. He said he's got a core tuner. I don't know what that means exactly. But I just did a very easy search on YouTube and found the right note. I found somebody producing the A at 432 hertz, and I'm pretty sure that using computer-based software you can totally define whatever frequency you want your tune to be based on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not so difficult. I'm pretty sure you can get apps on iPhones to define whatever tuning you want.
And this tuning is just arbitrary, like you get to just pick it.
Well, it is. I guess it'll come default at 440 because that's what everyone tunes to.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who's not a nutter.
Yes, I just want to make sure that this isn't some like you have to like hack into your phone to get it to 432 because the man doesn't want you to tune your guitar at 432.
No, there are various reasons why you'd want to define One reason is that, say, your piano is so old that it won't actually reach 440 hertz.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes.
Or say you've got a fixed pitch instrument that's been made before 1939. Well, probably 1950, I imagine, by the time these things actually take to
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, or that you're an orchestra who wants to play Mozart and Bach in its original key, its original tuning. There's all sorts of reasons why you'd want to redefine.
So there are reasonable reasons to do this, not just a man keeping you away from 432.
No. No, it's common. It's more common to tune to 440 because of the practicalities, but it's very common to want to tune away from that because of other practicalities.
You're going to tell me if you hear a difference. I do, but I want to hear from you.
Now, what he does is, as we'll see, is he plays his guitar in 2 different tunings. But there are other and better tests on the internet where you get somebody else who doesn't believe 432 is magic, playing different music in different keys, doing a blind test. So you don't actually know and you have to guess, and he reveals it at the end. And more often than not, yeah.
Okay. So he's not going. So this won't be a blind test. Like he'll actually show, oh, this is 440, and then he'll show this is 432.
Yeah.
Okay. So not a blind test. So not actually a real test. You're already kind of prepping your brain to think, I need to hear a difference between 440 and 432 because this man on the internet says there is a difference.
Yeah. Now, it might be worth finding one of the better tests afterwards and comparing them.
Okay.
But we'll see. Let's carry on.
And cymatics, we can see how sound frequencies, they go through mediums and they can alter matter.
He's found this on the internet. It's been debunked.
Oh.
I'm not going to go into it because it could be a whole tangent, but there are people who repeat this experiment. They're basically taking images of, I don't know if it's flames or like a blob of water. You can do it in different medium, and what you find is that the difference between 440 and 432 is minimal to non-existent.
Okay.
It's very difficult for the eye to detect significant changes in the pattern. Now here, there's some very obvious changes in the pattern. I wonder why that is.
Yeah, so he's definitely trying to prep us that 432 is cleaner and more, it's a prettier shape.
Yeah, water sound image 432 on the left has, this kind of radial kind of pattern to it. Whereas on the right, it's more of a solid mass with some rings in the center. But this has kind of been disproven because I imagine, I haven't looked into it a great deal, but I imagine that actually the numbers relating to the hertz on the titles don't actually relate to what the photos are of. Similar to Dr. Emoto.
Oh, with the ice thing?
Yeah.
I love the ice thing. That shit's hilarious.
It isn't. I have made a video covering that just for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. Go and check that out. But I actually do look into it.
That was a good video, but oh my goodness, he's ridiculous.
Dr. Emoto has done work how sound emotion changes how water crystallizes.
Oh,
well, look at that. Okay, wait. Remind me of that experiment because I thought it was just you sort of projected your emotions onto it.
These are images of water crystals, supposedly, after being prayed to or having thought imposed upon them, supposedly.
Okay. So the guy just said that it was sound-based, so I don't remember, you probably remember about the experiment. Was it that you told the crystal water your emotions?
There was more than one experiment.
Okay.
One was where you concentrated thoughts and feelings at the water, and then the water was frozen to create crystals, which in itself was problematic because the kind of crystals that he's taken photos of aren't the sort of crystals that would appear given the conditions that were written up in the paper. And other experiments included having music played at the at the water and then frozen in the same way with the same unfortunate discrepancy in formed crystals. According to I've just quoted other people's research. I've not done it myself, but the people that I've quoted, body of knowledge, if you like, you'd get column crystals because of the way you froze it.
Mhm.
But that's not what you see. And the other thing is, there's quite a lot wrong with Emoto's experiments, which I explained in the video. But briefly, what he's done here is, and he admits to this himself, he doesn't even try to hide it, is that he found the crystals that he found suited his point of view the best and took a photo of them.
Oh.
So essentially, he's just cherry-picked out of hundreds of experiments. We don't know the results, actually.
Oh, okay.
What we get are these single photos of each case that he's taken after selecting one. And he admits to that. He hasn't got a problem with saying that.
Of course he doesn't.
I mean, he's dead now, bless him. He
Oh,
was
at least
one of
he
those
didn't
guys
know
who
that. Oh, goodness. No, I feel slightly bad for laughing at him.
No, but I keep on referring to my own, I'm viciously promoting myself here. But in that video, I find him kind of confessing to all sorts of stuff. But part of what it is, he doesn't believe that modern science is the answer. But he is actually, despite having these weird beliefs, he does actually try and do what he does for the benefit of the world. Kind of, he was not a bad egg. He was just kind of a bit loony. But he died recently, so doesn't mean you can't laugh at his ideas. It just means that you can't discuss it with them anymore.
Yeah.
But you can still criticize the idea.
Is there? Do you know this? Is there anybody sort of continuing this research?
Well, he did the research in somebody called I always pronounce his name wrong. I think it's called Dean Radin. Dean Radin is part of the Noetic Institute of Noetic Science.
Uh-huh.
And I think he's still alive. He still does research into this kind of stuff. I don't know if he's repeated these experiments. I think they did 3 at the time. I am not aware of any more in this particular line, but I know that Dean Radin continues to research parapsychology and stuff.
Yeah, let's read what else he's got to say.
So let's do the test and see what the talk is about.
Okay, let's do the test.
Should I like close my eyes and see if I can tell the difference without?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me
close your eyes.
Okay, I am ready to go.
Okay, I was going to say maybe when you actually edit this and put it out, you could maybe even blank the little labels.
I'll put a black box over the video. See if anyone else can tell.
But I'm going to compliment him here. He plays some quite nice guitar.
So one of these is 440 and one of these is 432.
Yeah. Now, as previously mentioned, that relates to the note A, but that means that all the other notes are tuned relative to 440, which means most of the notes he's playing, depending on what key he's playing in, some of them might not even have 432 hertz frequency, because you're going to be playing all the notes that are required for that particular piece, whether he's making it up or whether he's playing a composition by somebody else. So all it means is that the reference note on his guitar is going to be tuned either slightly sharp or slightly flat, that is to say slightly higher in pitch, higher in frequency, or lower. All right. So that's kind of, there's a hint at what you're listening for. Right.
Okay.
He had several, but I realised halfway through that doing this as a blind, he set it up wrong. He doesn't put any other cue other than the labels on the screen and the fact that the guitar's tuned slightly different.
I couldn't actually tell when he stopped, when he was supposed to change tones.
No, because
I couldn't. So I kept waiting for some sort of hint, and then he doesn't give you besides the visual hint, he doesn't actually give you a verbal hint or a sound hint. So I couldn't tell oh, this piece, whatever, this sample has ended. Now listen to the next sample. And then I couldn't actually tell when he changed it. Like I couldn't tell anything.
That's quite amusing. Now, one thing I will say, maybe I'll play that little sequence to you again.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I'll give you a little clue. See if we can pick this out. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this out because, as a musician, I've had a lot of ear training, and maybe people who haven't spent half their life playing music won't pick this out. But let's see. I'm not going to tell you which one, but one of his tunings, his guitar, is out of tune.
Oh.
He hasn't actually tuned it correctly. Or if he has, then his intonation's gone. Right. It just... So I'm not going to mention it. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, I've paused it. He spent so either the first half or the second half. Which do you think was slightly out of tune?
I honestly can't tell.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Right.
So which one's out of tune?
Funnily enough, the one that he reckons is more harmonious to a human body or something.
Oh, okay.
The one at 432 hertz is actually just slightly not quite tuned right.
Ah.
But I'm sure the A is tuned to a perfect 432 at least. But all the notes that he's actually playing are not quite in the right tuning. But
Okay.
yeah. So actually, he's making it sound slightly rough, even if you don't notice it consciously. I guess to some people it will go in and sound slightly jarring, ever so slightly. I mean, it's barely noticeable, to be fair.
So you said earlier that because A is sort of tuned differently, that the rest of the scale is now tuned differently too?
Yeah, all the notes of the scale are tuned relative to whatever your first note is, and by tradition, that's A. In an orchestra, you always tune to an A, and you tune to a fixed pitch instrument, usually, and in an orchestra, that's the oboe. I think, is it clarinet? It's been a while. Anyway, so but then once you've got that A on a guitar and on any instrument, then all the other notes work themselves out so that they're all correct relative to that A. So all the other notes will be ever so slightly out by the same degree. That's the theory.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, it's never quite as straightforward as that because machines are imperfect.
Yeah.
And guitar frets. So it's like if there's one thing you can guarantee with a guitar, is that you can never actually be truly in tune. It's the same with the piano. But that's it's close enough, and you hear it as being in tune. And so if you tune your A to 440, then all the other notes will be in tune relative to it. And if you detune that, then the theory goes that all the other notes will be detuned by the same amount, and they'll all sound relatively in tune.
Okay.
But as we've heard, there's basically bugger all in it.
Yeah, I really, if you hadn't told me where one ended, like I couldn't tell where one ended and the other one began. I honestly thought the whole thing was just him playing straight. And then when I opened my eyes, like, oh no, he's actually changed. There's actually a spot there where he stopped and changed, but
yeah,
I thought he was just playing the same chords the whole time, and I was like, oh, the test is over now.
Yeah, which is interesting, which is quite a good way of doing it. There's some of the other ones I've seen, to help the blinding, they kind of deafen you as well by playing something completely different in a completely different key. So that is to say they're playing completely different notes.
Mm-hmm.
and that completely throws your ear out. But if it's a good point, because if the hypothesis is true, then you should be able to notice when, if 440 was bad, you should still notice it. And of course, when your ears are kind of blinded to it by them playing something completely and utterly different, and you do several different tests as well, so it's not just like one. But
so that's probably more accurate because you have more of that double blind where.
Well, maybe we should put links in the descriptions for other tests where people who are interested in really seeing if they can tell the difference with more blinding in place can actually do it.
Yeah, I'd be very curious. I'm going to try them out.
Yeah,
see if I can actually tell. All right, but let's see what this guy has to say. What more he's got to say.
Yeah, sure. Well, we're going to have to listen to him do that bit again. Okay, so I shall announce where he changes.
So when you tell me that he's changed, because I know what I'm looking for, because I know that 432 is supposed to be lower than 440, I start listening for it. So I start listening for that lowerness.
Yeah.
Whenever you tell me, and so I can tell that if it wasn't for those visual clues or those verbal cues that you give me, I don't know if I could. Like that, like I said, like that first time that we did it, and I just had my eyes closed and we went through the whole thing. I could barely tell that he had actually switched. Like it all just seemed like he was just playing the same chord for a long time.
Yeah. Well, when you actually, unless you go and watch professionals play, then actually that's it's quite possible that a lot of people who play music, even to an audience, have that amount of variation between even their own instruments, or between the beginning of the set and the end of the set because of the like humidity and temperature effect tuning as well on instruments.
Yeah.
So you can start out playing in one pitch and end up playing several hertz lower or higher at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of a nightmare if you've got 6 strings on an instrument that want to go in different directions. Right, shall we continue and see what happens?
Yes, let's see what he's got to say.
So how did you find it?
Very, very dull.
I quite like, I quite like his playing actually.
Oh, something to sleep.
But it's that video is a bit repetitive. He's got a nice guitar. He's got a nice tone. He's got nice bit of Latino jazz chords and progressions going on there. Fair play to you. You can actually play the thing, unlike a lot of people on YouTube. That's my comment. Well, no, it's true though. It's like the guitar is like one of the most popular instruments ever, and very few people can actually play it well, in my opinion. That's what happens with popular instruments. If every other person plays it, then that's kind of what happens.
Yeah,
like you get loads of people who can't play very well playing. Anyway,
so I want to hear what he's gonna say about this difference.
Right? Yeah, let's find out.
Did you hear a difference? I did. I'm biased though.
At least he admits it, right?
Yeah.
Sound can heal us. Sound can bring us together. Music is the universal language. And once we start to question what kind of frequencies are we listening to,
it's good to question that, because I question whether he actually played an A at 440 hertz and not at all.
So and again, I'm stuck at this point where he said, music heals you, and how much is that is literal? Like, is he literally saying the music heals you? Like, I play whatever Beethoven's Fifth. Will someone be cured of cancer heal you, or is it just like an emotional, like feel good kind of thing?
I think there is not. So what he means by it is unclear though. He does that thing that quite a lot of YouTube wombungers do. Is he kind of doesn't make it clear. I mean, he makes some assertions in some places that are just outright wrong, but in other places he kind of doesn't make it so clear whether he means it literally or not.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of willing to let that go. It's like, yeah, music can heal people. I don't think it can. It can be shown under proper test conditions to directly and in itself cure cancer, but
Because I could see it like as it makes you feel better, but and that subjective sort of I feel better now, or
Yeah,
I
and
feel
then
better listening to Taylor Swift, after having a rough day at work or whatever.
yeah, there's no doubt really that can improve your health in various ways.
But as far as health is like, is it gonna cure your cold? Is it gonna mend your bones? Is it gonna cure your cancer? Is what I'm.
Yeah, not directly anyway. No. There's this kind of very convoluted things like, well, it might make you feel more positive, and it might make you then seek out treatment, and it might make you accept the treatment with a smile on your face, and blah blah. Yeah, it's a bit of a tenuous. Right, we haven't got long left.
Now we empower ourselves. More so, we become our greatest version. We are here. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace.
So this reminds me a lot of like those self-help motivational kind of things where he doesn't really say anything,
Yeah,
but it's all meant to make you feel good. Like, because I feel like he didn't really he didn't really demonstrate anything, and I really don't understand. Like, he was so vague about this whole 432 thing that like it's all so vague, and it doesn't really mean anything, doesn't really say anything, but it's just supposed to make you feel good at the end.
but it's also to make you think there's a conspiracy. He didn't really go on about the conspiracy so much, but
I feel like there's a whole lot for him to touch on.
yeah, there's that there is this big conspiracy that the powers that be are taking away the natural frequency from us.
Yeah, I thought he'd go more into that, like especially when he brought up this whatever the conference in 1930 or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like so are you can tell us about that? Like, are you going to tell me that all radio stations are doing this on purpose to keep us whatever sedated or
yeah, something like that. There is a conspiracy. I kind of want to show you the first few minutes of this other video that I was going to bring to the table as well, if I can.
I feel is that your girlfriend, your wife?
It's my wife.
I feel like we need to get her in on this conversation because she's having as much fun as we are.
She is, yeah.
I'm just trying to distract him.
Yeah.